As I said to Cam on the phone last night, we went through the whole process here with him, and we came away, just really impressed with obviously the player, but also the person that he is, the leader, and the teammate. And we didn't think there was anyone more deserving to really represent this franchise than Cam Ward. So Cam, I'd like to come up here and introduce you. Before you step to the podium here, Cam, but we have a special guest here. Who did? We'll find out. Yes, sir.
See you. How you doing? Well, I just came here because I have a lot of respect for this young man right here. A lot of our journey is similar as far as all the things that he was told throughout the journey about not being good enough. Nobody wanted to give him that great opportunity, but he just kept fighting, he kept working, kept showing leadership, perseverance, and here he is today, the #1 overall pick in the National Football League draft. So that's the reason why I wanted to be here, just to let him know how proud I am of him, and I've watched your career ever since you were at our rival, Washington State, and I didn't like how you played against my Huskies all the time, but you had to do what you had to do. But as far as the number and everything is concerned, I wore the #1 for a lot of different reasons, and I wore it for a long time, starting back in 1976 when I was in college. And I think I wore it very honorably for the Houston Oilers organization, to the point to where I created a Hall of Fame career for myself. Now I'm part of the Tennessee Titans family, and my Houston Oilers jersey will probably never be worn again. I hope it won't. But the Tennessee Titans jersey is going to be worn by Cam, and Cam will be starting a new, not regime here, but just a new freshness in this organization to kind of revitalize it and get it back to where it was a number of years ago, one of the more successful organizations in the league. So I'm excited to see what he's going to do with his legacy wearing this number, and I'm proud of the things that I did to establish my legacy with the time I wore that number. So Cam, I'm going to be watching your career. I'm here for you. I'm going to help you as much as I can possibly do it whenever you need me, and just wish you the best of luck. And you come from a great family. I think that's where a lot of it starts. And I think you'll do well here. So congratulations on being the #1 overall pick. And now the work gets started. All right?
Appreciate you. Mr. Mike, Ms. Amy, Coach Callahan, Mr. Chad, thank y'all for giving me the opportunity. I know y'all made what was right for the organization, you as well, Ms. Amy. But I'm grateful, for my family to, be here in this moment with me. I've been praying since I was 6 years old. So I'm ready to get to work, ready to be with my teammates, try to win some games in the future.
Open up for questions.
Yeah, what does it mean to hear your general manager say that it was not only you as a player, but you as a person that attracted this organization to you and wanting to make you the #1 pick?
It means a lot, especially, my background, where I came from, on what I had to do to get to this journey. But, it's all, God and hard work. And I just think I did a lot of little things in my career to, take care of everything, to maximize my talents. And so I'm excited to get to work here. Just meeting my guys in the locker room, in the cafeteria already. I know some good things are about to happen.
Cam, you have your parents here. They played, obviously, a critical role in your development and everything. What do you say to them, now that you've gotten to this point? How can you repay them for all the work they put in?
I just think I can't repay them. Nothing can, just what they sacrificed since I was a kid all the way to high school to where I am now. Just they sacrificed financially for me, time-wise. There was days my dad would wake up at 5 a.m. We drive halfway across Texas to get to camps. And so I'll never be able to repay them, but, I just hope, me being to repay them one way is, just by putting on for them and the family on the field.
What's that number mean to you? Did you know any of this was going on
At what point, were you planning to ask him? How did all that go?
I've been asked him. I called him about a month ago, and so I didn't know this was going on, but I knew this was gonna happen. I'm excited that Mr. Moon was able to bless me with giving me this number. But I think to me the number would never mean anything. It's all about the plays you make on the field. So I'm ready for this opportunity with my teammates.
Does that number hold a significance for you?
It doesn't hold a significance. It's all about how you play on the field. The person doesn't make the number. The player makes the number.
Cam, the legacy of quarterbacks that this organization has been a part of course, Mr. Moon, Steve McNair, and now yourself, does that put more pressure on you, or do you look at that and say, like, I need to live up to something greater than myself?
Not really. All those players, they were played for the Oilers. I'm a tight end, so none of that pressure ever gets to me. I really don't care what the outside world sees me as. The only thing that matters to me is the building my teammates, and so I never get too high, never get too low. I just want to go make plays.
You've been able to insert yourself in 3 different college programs and be the leader, be the guy all 3 places immediately. What's the challenge on doing it at this level, surrounded by millionaires and guys who've been in this league?
I just think just being real on time with stuff, especially offensively. You have to be an elite communicator. I think that's what I learned, being in college. I think that's why we were able to have one of the best offenses at Miami this last year. We had elite communication from myself, the O-line, the receiving core, and the running backs. And so I think that's the big part is, continue to me get better each year in and out. But I think communication is a big key to us having a success.
How did you develop that skill for being so level-headed, but not getting high, getting low, and just kind of what is the key to keeping that in the tough moments?
I would say by losing a lot in my life, and whether it's off the field, on the field, I just think the more you never change your level, more good things will happen to you. And you also got to be a good teammate, because at the end of the day, I'll never be the only person to win us a game. I'll always be, receiver catching the ball, the running back running, defense tackling. And so, everybody plays a vital role, and I'm just trying to do mine each week out.
What is it about your game that you've been able to elevate your team and your teammates in the various stops that you've had, and how will that translate here?
I think I elevated those guys just by, being a teammate, I would say. Being a real locker room guy and also holding people accountable. I think you can't do that unless you actually know the person, on a personal level. But then it all starts on the practice field. Okay, nothing translates to the game unless you rep it over and over. But, I plan on getting to work.
Did you meet any other owners during this process? And did you realize at the time how significant it was that Amy came to that workout and took some time to talk to you, get to know you and your family?
Oh, yeah, I got a chance to meet with the other team's owners as well. But I think just Miss Amy, she jumped off the charts. The connection that, I had with her off rip, my parents, my mom getting a chance to talk with her. And then, she's from my, my part of the area. She's down south. And so, I just think it was already, made to happen.
Kim, the relationship that you developed with the receivers there at Miami, very quickly, how did you go about doing that? Because talking to Restrepo, he said that you guys were on the same page immediately. You could talk without talking. How did you develop that relationship, and what did you learn as far as being able to spin it forward to here?
I would say just watching a lot of film with those guys, and then also getting reps at practice. Whether I know we're going to have bad days of practice, missed reps here and there, but, you got to be able to make it up at the end of practice. But you also got to have the receivers to, want to push themselves like I had in Miami. I'm surrounded by that with Tennessee. I have some elite vets, some elite young guys, and so, I'm ready to get to work with those guys. But, it starts in the film room. The football stuff on the field take care of the rest.
You talk about that a lot, Cam, when it comes to the film room, and one of your coaches at Washington State said you're so diligent in your preparation. And it starts there. At what point, did you know, okay, I got to be in there. I have to put in the time. And did you fall in love with the process of it too?
I've probably noticed it the most when I got to Wazoo. And it's something that you do fall in love with, because I'm behind the 8 ball. I didn't get a chance to grow up in high school, in college, playing in different offenses, learning football. I really didn't start learning football until I got to Wazoo. And so, as I progressed throughout my career, I started to love it. even more. And I just think just over time I've gotten better. I learned how to watch film the right way. I think I have a great way of seeing space on the field, and also getting through progressions. And so I think everything's helped me, to this point. I've also played with some teammates, who's got a chance to play in the NFL in my past. And so I just think it all worked out.
Cam, what is it about Coach Callahan's offense that you think fits your game and your skill set conceptually?
I just think a lot of stuff translates over from what I did at Miami, even at Wazoo and UIW. It's a real quarterback-friendly offense. You see what he did with Joe Burrow when he got him his rookie year. But, I mean, Coach Callahan is one of the best offensive minds out there, And for me, it's a blessing to play for him, for somebody who I know going to believe in me, who going to put the ball in my hands at the end of the game to go win it. As a quarterback, that's all you can really live for.
What was the play you were asking him about last night?
Switch verts.
Can you kind of talk us through why you like it so much?
Verticals. We window shopping over here.
Hey Cam, can you shed some light on your respect for Warren Moon? What do you know about his career, his journey? How do you relate to that?
I got a lot of respect. I didn't know much about him until, the draft was really started since February after the last game the Titans have. Before I called him, I made sure I watched his highlights to make sure he was legit, and so he was legit. I'm trying to get up to his level one day. It might take me a little time, but I'll get there eventually. And so, he's a Hall of Famer, and for me to be in that same number that he was in, it's an honor. And I'm excited that he's here. He made time out of his way. He could have did plenty more stuff, but he made sure he was here for me, and so I'm forever grateful for it.
The fact that he went to Canada and didn't get his shot in the NFL, does that resonate with you?
A little bit, I would say. I also think it was a different time too. The game's progressed many years. There's a lot of plays I've seen. He doing 5-step drops on the center, and they run a quick game. And so that's not what we're doing nowadays from understanding like that. But I just think as the game progressed, he was ahead of his time, I would say. But I'm sure he made the most of it, and he did.
Did you have any hesitation about making that phone call? Did you talk to Brian or Mike about? Did they soften the path for you there, or did
I didn't have no hesitation making a phone call. The only thing you can say is no, and so if you said no, I'd have just got a different number, and so I wasn't really too worried about it. It don't hurt to ask.
Cam, what does the term franchise quarterback mean to you?
Somebody who can lead their teammates. For a numerous amount of years, not just, one season. You got to be consistent in the National Football League, and that's why you see some of the best quarterbacks out here like Pat, Josh, and Lamar, being in the playoffs every year. They're consistent quarterbacks. That's, where I want to get to in my career real fast. And, it's good that I can do it, in a quarterback-driven system like Coach Callahan has, and around a lot of good weapons.
What traits do you think you have that kind of typify what a franchise quarterback means?
I think I don't get enough credit for the type of processor that I am. I think I see space real well. Over my college career, I've gotten better at each stop and getting through progressions. And I just think my feel for the pocket is, something that can't be coached, but it's also something that you have to watch a lot of film on.
What does it mean to you that this organization has put its faith and trust in you to be the guy?
That's all I really needed. All I need is one shot. I'm going to make the most of it. And, for them to draft me number 1 overall, I know they don't regret it, and I'm going to make sure they don't.
Cam, I think I read your family hasn't missed one of your games. So what do you think it is about you and your family who will likely spend a lot of time here that fits well with Tennessee and Nashville?
They just like seeing me play football, honestly, I would say. They never missed a game my whole career, from Little League, my dad coaching me all the way to this point. And, it's a blessing. Not a lot of athletes can have both their parents at their games. So I'm one of the lucky ones out here. And, every time, I get in the stands, it's really the only 2 people I look for. And so, they at the game, I'm good. I'm just trying to go win a game.
Cam, your teammates talk glowingly about your leadership. We asked you at the Combine, how do you feel like your leadership style would translate to the NFL? In meeting some of your teammates that you'll be playing with, how have you started to kind of implant yourself now as we enter the next phase of your career?
Just being a good communicator, I would say. coming in with confidence, watching film with those guys, and then also, understanding them. We're going to have miscommunication, but at the end of the day, when it comes Sunday, we're going to be on the same page. And I just think, the more we can mess up, during the week, it's going to end up, leading us to better plays on Sundays.
Cam, every time you've been knocked down in your football journey and in life, I guess what always internally kept you like getting back up? Like what was the motivation just through every time you've just been knocked down in your journey?
I'll say myself. It's something that I really do want. I love playing the game of football, and it's only here for a short amount of time. So every chance I get, to step on the field, I try to take full advantage of it. And I never forget where I came from. I always remember where I came from. And so it's just a blessing to be here. Not a lot of people can do what I did, go the journey that I had to go to get to this moment. And I'm excited to play for this organization. Working
with Daryl Colbert, what was it initially that you saw in him, and how has he helped bring your game to the level where it is now?
Well, I think the biggest thing he's helped me is throwing from confined spaces, not overstriding in high school. Even throughout college, I was a big overstrider, when I was throwing the ball, and he's helped reduce that. And he's never changed my arm angles. He knows I can do some crazy stuff on the field. I live for moments like that. But he also knows I'm a gunslinger. That's who I am. That's who I'll always be as long as I play football. And he's never tried to change me. He's only made me better. Each year I've trained with him. I've been with him for 4 years. And it's the reason, he has the #1 quarterback in the draft.
Speaking of which, Cam, you worked with Shador with him as well. What kind of bond did you develop with Shador? And the second part of that question, how surprised are you that he wasn't picked in the first round?
I created a special relationship with him, especially me first getting to know him about 5 years ago when I started working with him when I was at UIW. But it did surprise me because he's a good quarterback. He doesn't get a lot of the credit that he deserves, especially the plays that he made at Colorado. A lot of quarterbacks in the country aren't making those plays, and so when he gets his opportunity, I'm pretty sure it'll happen soon today. He'll make sure he'll make plays on the field when he gets his chance.